Welcome to Wa Keepin It Real with Wakenia and Tee. And it's officially summer, y'all. And we're back and we're getting back into the groove. But it's hot.
It is hot. It is hot in Columbus, Georgia.
It's hot.
It's like a miserable hot, really, already.
I know, and I'm like, I can't recall. Well, I can't recall last summer, but
It's hot.
It's getting to me.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah.
But we have a very good day.
Juneteenth.
We went to Montgomery on Juneteenth,
Mm-hmm.
and we had a great time. It was my first time. Wakenia had been before.
Third time. Mm-hmm.
And it was some of the stuff that we saw, I knew about, but seeing it,
Mm-hmm.
it's just, in the collection that they had, it's just so eye-opener. And it was almost dramatic, but beautiful at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just to see how people, our people,
Mm-hmm.
stood on the shoulders of other people to get us to where we are now.
Right. Yeah.
There's still work to be done, but
Right.
it was such a good experience.
Mm-hmm.
And my food was good too. I went to Dreamland, so
Yeah, we went to Dreamland Barbecue. And speaking of that day, it was not hot that day. We left here, got there early in the morning, went to the Freedom Monument Statue Park, and they were doing the grand opening ceremony. And it was just, it was breezy. It was nice. So the whole day was a pleasant experience. Right. It wasn't like, oh my God, it's so hot. It wasn't any of that, and I'm grateful for that. And like you were saying, even though I've been there a couple of times, still, every time I go back, it's always like a wow for me.
Right.
Even though, you see these things, you read this information, and it's not just information, it's somebody, that was somebody's life.
It was pertinent.
It was their experience. They actually experienced that stuff, and it's like, this ain't just something made up. This is real, and it hits you.
And sometimes you see things and you think, this was 100 years ago. We saw the slave quarters,
Mm-hmm.
or shotgun houses,
Right.
and you hadn't experienced that.
Mm-hmm.
But I had, one of my favorite aunts lived in that, and I thought it was a mansion,
Right.
because it was the value of her and not the value of the
Mm-hmm.
outside. And the houses were cooler then.
And I was about to say,
no air conditioning, just
the openness and the closeness that you experience in that
Right.
home as a family.
Right.
I think that made it. There was no separation because there was no walls to separate you. So
no separation,
And Isaac remember
Right.
living in a dwelling like
Yeah.
that too. So for him, it was just like, wow, yeah.
And I'm speaking of 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Literally 20 years ago, we still had that. Of course, the family went in and kind of did a little decoration, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but it was still a shotgun house.
Yeah.
Drinking water outside all the time. We did that,
Mm-hmm.
and 5 children and then the cousins, and we just had a ball. We thought
Right.
we were in a mansion,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not always the dwelling that you're in. It's the people who make the dwelling.
That's right.
And,
Yeah.
but it was just beautiful to see all those. And also we saw Wynton Marsalis.
Oh yeah, Wynton Marsalis. He was at
performed
the celebration.
the grand
Yeah,
opening.
he was walking around with the trumpet, and it was just like, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a beautiful experience. If you haven't been, I encourage you to go. It's only $5 for
Yes, it's only $5. And the
Right.
thing is, because it is so much to see, and you can't take it all in one day, when you go, they give you an opportunity to come back on a different day. And I think it used to be where you had up to a year, but when we were there with, when I went over to Montgomery with the church conference, you had the lady, as we were going through the security thing, she said you have 2 years. So you have all this time to go back and see the rest of it, because it's a lot to take in one day, and especially with it being crowded the way it was that day we went.
Right.
I'm grateful for the times that I have gone where it wasn't crowded, because I was able to stand and read and take in all of the stuff that was written.
Right.
It was hard that day, and I wish it hadn't been, but I love the fact that the people were there.
I'll go back, and for me it was beautiful that day, and the reason, which is probably going to be a reason for you that it was beautiful that day, is the array of people that were there, because it was Juneteenth. There were people from I won't say coming to America, but there were genuine Africans there. There were just international people there. There were schools there. There was school buses along with just charter buses. There were old people, young people, just everything. It was
just a different array of,
and it was just beautiful.
The diversity of people.
The diversity in their take on what they were seeing, their reaction, their response to what they were seeing. So we encourage you to go and visit.
Yes.
There's 3 different sites, and you can even take the boat ferry, or is it just I don't know what it's called, but
that's part of the Freedom Monument statue park. And that opened up that day, because the day we went, they hadn't started it yet. So it started that day. So you get on a boat and you ride out on the Alabama River, and, you have this recording telling you the history of the, slave interaction on the Alabama River. And I'm it's a lot to take in, but also it's a beautiful thing to just, after you come back, and you think about what they went through. But where we are today. Just grateful.
Yeah, very grateful.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk today on diversity. And so we'll start with, Wakenia and I came from 2 different areas. I've always been military brat. So I had never experienced being with all black people or all white people or all Asian people.
Right.
It was inclusive. So my first real memories are of us living in Fort Benning. And there were black, there were white, there were Puerto Rican, there were Vietnam, there were Korean, there were, you just name it. And it was, so I've always experienced the melting pot. And one thing that my parents always encouraged us, the 3 of us, is to get to know people. So genuinely for me, I just had never been around, going to visit my family in Eufaula. Yeah, that's one thing, that's family. But living, I had just not experienced that. And I think you had always lived in a black neighborhood.
It was always black community. And school was just, they were sprinkled in every now and then. So I wasn't exposed to diversity like I have been once I got older.
Right.
And so it was like, even though I wasn't, I still wasn't like, it wasn't a shun for me to be around someone that was different from me.
Right.
It was like, and you people say, I don't see color. I do see color.
They lying.
But at the same time, for me, if I was around someone that was different from me, even at a young age, I didn't feel like, oh, I'm so much different, and I don't measure up, or there was never any of that comparison for me. It was all because I've always been that person where I want to get to know you, I want to interact with you, and so I think I got that really from my grandmother, because my grandmother, I'll say she was the one that was around different people.
Okay.
Because she worked down here in Columbus. And so she exposed us.
Did y'all hear her say down here in Columbus?
Down here in Columbus, because I'm from Geneva.
The big old city of
and
Geneva.
so that comes out sometimes. And I ain't mad about it, because I'm proud of where I'm from. Yeah. But it does, you know, she kind of like introduced us to different, even with food.
Right.
Because my great grandmother, they both worked in the homes of white people. Mm-hmm. So they were exposed to recipes, food, and stuff that was different from what we would cook at home. Right. So we got, of course, they cooked the collard greens, the black eyed peas, all the stuff that we would cook. But she would always try all these other different recipes that we would just fall in love with, because she cooked them at like whatever gathering.
And speaking of that, first we're gonna actually give the definition of diversity, and I pulled it so I could make sure we stayed on task. Diversity, the state of being diverse, variety, the practice or quality of including or involving people from a range of different social and ethnic backgrounds, and of different genders, sexual orientations. They have a simple definition, which is: diversity is a wide array of people that come from different backgrounds, lifestyles, social experiences, races, and religions. The coexistence of various perspectives, political, religious, racial, ethnic, sexual orientation, nationality, genders. Mm-hmm. So when you speak on the food, for us, once again, we had taco night, and we had a lady that she came over I can't remember the day it was, but we were like, oh, Miss Dorothy's going to make the tacos. Mm-hmm. So my mother always knew, as far as us growing up, how to make authentic tacos.
Right.
Then we had a lady that made the papaya rice. And then, y'all, I love them too. The real Puerto Rican pig feet.
Ooh, girl!
And so my mother made those, good. And our friends would just Panamanian. I'm sorry, I said Puerto Rican. Panamanian pig feet. And so my mother knew how to make, and my friends would just go crazy. They didn't like pig feet, but they liked those.
Yes, different.
That's just some, but we've always just tried different food, tried different, not tried, but we were exposed to different religions. But when I got married, my husband, and he still, I think, prefers just plain old country food. He had never had a shrimp. He just wasn't exposed to that, but he also was brought up in an all black community. So, and I was like, what do you mean you never ate a shrimp? You know, or whatever. So it's easy. And a lot of my cousins, you know, and you follow, it is what it is.
Right.
So they would come and stay with us every summer, you know, so many would come stay so that they could get exposed to different things. I didn't know at the time. I just thought my parents wanted my cousins to come stay, but they wanted them to see something outside of
where
their dwellings. Yeah. So it's just it's beautiful that you could come from one background. I can come from another, and it's like we never missed a beat. Now for me, where I had the roughest time is when we moved off base, and my parents had us move into a neighborhood at the time, which was a retired military neighborhood. Right. So it was once again kind of the way we were brought up. There were black, there were whites, there were, you know, but I'd never been bused. I thought I was taking a bus. I never got to ride a bus because my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and she took us everywhere we needed to go. So when I got on the bus, my very first time, everybody was black. and they bused us to
School.
a middle school,
Mm-hmm.
and
It was
I
shocking.
couldn't wait. It was a drastic shock for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I, in no way am I saying I'm better or
Right.
less. I'm just saying
It
for
was
me,
a
my
shock.
lifestyle, it was
Yeah.
it was a culture shock.
Yeah.
Now once we got to the school was mixed.
Mm-hmm. How old were you?
Middle school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just a big culture shock.
Right.
And there were people who didn't like you because you didn't look the same, but then there were people who were just like you,
right.
military, and it was like a culture shock to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went to high school, at the time, it was a military high school too, so that was not a problem.
Right.
But getting on that bus was a problem.
Wow.
Yeah.
And see, totally opposite for me. On the bus, of course, everybody was the same.
Right.
But then as I got older, that's when and went into the military and went to Hawaii. I'm telling you, you see Asian, you see Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Filipino, and I had relationships with all of these people, the Hawaiian, because I worked in worked in the dining facility, and you've got those people in there doing the KP and working and you build relationships with them because you're in there with them.
Absolutely.
They become like family. So, and then we started going to the church, and it was even more. And it's like, when I came back here, that's what I was looking for.
Right.
I was looking for that when it came to a church.
Right.
I was just looking for that in my community. And I didn't get it right off.
Yeah.
I did not. But I adapted, and I was, still allow myself to not just be in this one place. I still would venture out and fellowship with those that were not the same as me.
Right.
Because I just had gotten used to that, and that was like, this is all I know now.
Right. That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And then one of the other things about diversity, my brother and I, we had the same chores. My parents like, no, there's not going to be a difference in.
Right. Okay.
So we had the same chores. We had a cooking schedule, even if it was just making sandwiches or pizza. My brother did it one day. I did it one day. Cutting the grass at the time where we lived, you didn't use a gas lawnmower or electric lawnmower. It was that blade. And when it was my day, now granted, my dad would probably go out. He would always say, "You did a great job." He might go out after me and recut it.
Yeah.
But we had the same chores. And my mother disciplined different than my father. My father's a talker. My mother was not.
Your mom was like my dad.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you deserved it, you got it. But my father, he said, you can't spank her all the time. I was the bad one, y'all. I was the one that tried them. That tried them. But my father, he's speaking of KPs. It was many Saturdays. I'm like, my dad got me out of that, And he said, come on, you're going with me. Okay, father-daughter time. And we would go to the dining facility. And they were like, First Sarge, what's going on? And he said, oh, I got one here that wants to talk all the time. So I peeled potatoes.
Oh, okay.
I did all that.
Yeah.
And then when that didn't, so to speak, work, then it was like, come on a Saturday. I'm like, peeled potatoes ain't going to bother me. And we would go. And my dad would it would be, what do y'all call it?
PT?
PT.
Oh,
And my dad said, she's going to run with y'all. And the whole troop is running. And I was small, short, but I'd run. And then my dad was always in great shape. He'd run with them. He never asked them to do anything he didn't do. And he'd run around the truck and double back. And so the troops would get like, we can't. Come on a little bit. And they would pick me up and put me on the back of the truck. And when they saw my dad coming, they would put me back down. But nowadays diversity is so, like the definition that we read is so broad, but
right.
we're not always giving our children or ourselves the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
We're not exposing ourselves to different things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I want. I want to be challenged.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be exposed to different things.
Yeah.
I want to be able to make the decision on what I like and what I don't like.
And another thing I really appreciate about what the church I'm in now, we are a diverse church, but you can be diverse and be unified at the same time.
Yeah.
There can be diversity and unity because you don't have to agree with what
Absolutely.
You don't have to be in the same political agreement or whatever it may be. We can still
coexist.
Yes.
We can still
coexist. But it's a choice.
It's a choice. And Wakenia and I do not agree with everything, but we learned as far as our relationship early on that we don't have to argue.
No.
And I don't think we've ever argued.
No.
But we did have like one. We were like, what was that? You know.
And we'll be like, well, okay.
Right.
And then we move on because it ain't no life or death kind of situation. So,
Yeah. So, and I think to your point, it's a choice. We don't go to the same type of church, but that's my choice. That's your choice.
Right.
But it doesn't take away. We still love the same
God.
One God. I have to say that for us.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that I don't believe in what she believes in, and she doesn't believe. It's just she goes to where she's getting fed, and I go to where I'm getting fed. But I've been to her church, and she's been to mine as well. So, and it's all about love.
That's all about love. That's it. That's the foundation of it all.
It's all about love. Even in diversity. I think, now I will say this, one of the things that I will say that bothers me with diversity, and it's probably not even an accurate way to put it, is when we're in a diverse setting and you see hatred.
Oh, yeah.
Just people not being kind.
Yeah.
That really bothers me.
Yeah.
That really bothers me.
And I've thought about, I was thinking about this morning. It was this morning or last night, just thinking about what we were going to talk about today, and thinking about how when people that don't look like me, if they are cruel, mean, however they choose to be, it ain't my problem. That's their problem. They have an issue. I don't. So I don't have to feel like I've done something wrong.
Right.
Or I'm doing something wrong. Because if you haven't gotten to know me,
right,
we don't know each other like that, for you to treat me a certain way or act towards me a certain way, that's on you. Yeah. That's something you're dealing with, not me.
That's right.
So even when I see other people being treated that way,
I think that bothers me more than mistreating me. You can mistreat me, I'm fine. Cause
that's what I say. That's
and I know, and he's gonna convict me if I'm wrong.
Right.
I'm gonna get convicted, and I'm gonna go.
Right.
Which is the one incident we had. And I said, "Hey, I was wrong. I'm sorry. X, Y, and Z."
Right.
So I stand on that, but it bothers me more when people are just being cruel and unkind. Especially if it's just because the way the person looks and they don't look like you.
Yes, and you haven't gotten to know them.
Right.
It's all about relationship. It's all about relationship. And I think we've said this several times. How diverse is your table? And it's not necessarily you're inviting people over to your house, how your table looks, but how diverse is the table that you go and sit at?
Right.
Or just fellowship.
Right.
How diverse is it? And, it's like God made us all.
Yes. One of the things I, growing up, we were Baptists.
Mm-hmm.
But back then, we went to church once a month, and you had Sunday school
first and third,
right.
maybe.
But we still went to Eufaula, even though we lived on Fort Benning.
Mm-hmm.
But my parents started taking us to different churches because they said when you're old enough, you choose
Mm-hmm.
where you want to get fed. So years ago, it's been years ago, we started. It wasn't just us; it was some other ladies.
Oh yeah,
we started
the morning Bible study.
Bible study, and at Panera Bread,
Mm-hmm.
and then Burger King.
No, we started at Panera, and then we moved here.
No, I thought we started at Burger King.
Did we start at Burger King?
Bread when we said let's go somewhere a little.
Oh,
and then we moved here.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, and it was beautiful because we didn't intentionally
say we're gonna
pick this. It was people that wanted to know more about Christ, who wanted to study, and it ended up being this old lady right here and my sister,
mm-hmm.
Wakenia, and some younger ladies that didn't look like us, and we didn't look like them.
Yeah, but we considered
our
sisters.
Hearts all look the
That's
same.
the thing, yeah.
And we wanted to grow and learn, and nobody felt like they had to come, but everybody couldn't wait till we come.
Right.
And that's just a beautiful part of diversity. So when I see that and I see the capabilities, what we can do, what we can, evolve to, and then you see an ugly side, it's like, okay, but look at the beauty.
Yeah.
Look at the beautiful thing that happened. So I'm still working on me because I really have a hard time when people mistreat people if I think it's because
of the way they look.
Yes.
And they haven't gotten to know them.
Right.
And it's like, for me, it's like, if you cut yourself, you're going to bleed the same red blood. You're the same. You're the same. God made us all. I was joking, and I say, it's funny to me, how, God made us.
Right.
He made us.
He's a creator.
And I said, when people say, we evolved from apes, right? I said, why are we not still evolving from them apes?
Exactly.
And why isn't it that if that's what you believe that you evolved from apes, why aren't you fellowshipping with them apes? And you do have those people that do the zoo thing and that, but it just hit me like, why aren't we still evolving from the apes?
Right.
But yeah, that's one of those things. Wa Keepin It Real. That's me keeping it real with what?
Right. And we can go a little deeper, but I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to leave it alone.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to leave it alone. I just thought that was funny.
I'm 100% with you, but sometimes your friend get a little too raw. So I'm going to leave that alone.
Yeah, we're going to keep it clean.
We're going to keep it clean.
Safe.
Yeah, so I challenge one of the things with our Bible group, and we are First Thessalonians. 5:11.
What are we? I don't know. Go ahead. Keep talking. I'll see if I can find
But one of the things I challenge, and it was for myself as well, is diversity can be such a beautiful thing. One of the things I want to leave with you is if you have social media, check your social media. And if you have people who don't look like you on there and it's just work relation, I challenge you to go out and have conversations with people who don't look like you, who are not from the same background as you, who's not from the same ethnic background,
right? Political background,
whatever it is. If you're a millionaire and
economic status,
whatever, just go Because sometimes we find ourselves that we exclude people, and we should be including everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has something to offer.
Right.
But if you go out and you look on your social media and everybody looks like you, we got work to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if everybody looks like you, and then you got a few sprinkled in there, but they just happen to work with you, that don't count.
Right.
We can be better. We can do better.
Or if they're sprinkled in there and they're just, they know somebody you know, but you don't necessarily know them.
Because we do that because we want to have 3,000 friends.
Yeah. So know
and
them.
And
so I'll go ahead and accept their friend request.
Right.
But you don't know them and you don't try to get to know them. And I've been guilty of that, you know.
But just reflect on that and go and see and ask yourself, because it's a personal thing.
Right.
Why don't I have friends that don't look like me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, it's just so much to offer.
It is.
So much to
really
offer.
Is.
So.
And we are First Thessalonians 5:11.
5:11. I'm sorry.
Yes. We still have our group text here.
Yes. And tell them what, can you pull that up? And tell them what 5:11 is.
Oh, 1 Thessalonians 5:11. Let's see here. 1 Thessalonians. And that's in the New Testament. 1 Thessalonians. Therefore, encourage and comfort one another and build up one another just as you are doing. Let's see. That's the Amplified. Sometimes I like to go and read the scripture before. What I say, 11.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bougie will be with you in just a second.
I'm coming.
So you got them thumbs just moving.
How about this? I'm gonna read you from 1 to 11. How about that? You know, you can never not get something from the Word of God. So let's just see in context what that actually is saying. So it's 1 Thessalonians 5. I'm reading from 1 to 11, and I'm reading in the ESV. The day of the Lord is the title that's up here, and it says, "Now concerning the times and seasons, brothers, you have no need to have anything written to you. For you yourselves are fully aware that the day of the Lord will come like a thief in the night. While people are saying there is peace and security, then sudden destruction will come upon them as labor pains come upon a pregnant woman, and they will not escape. But you are not in darkness, brothers, for that day to surprise you like a thief. For you are children of light, children of the day. We are not the night or of the darkness. Right. So then let us not sleep as others do, but let us keep awake and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But since we belong to the day, let us be sober, having put on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet, the hope of salvation. For God has not destined us for wrath, but to obtain salvation through our Lord Jesus Christ, who died for us so that whether we are awake or asleep, we might live with him. Therefore, encourage one another and build one another up just as you are doing."
And that's just hope. That's encouragement. Because if you're already trying to do what's right and you're doing things to get better, stand with the diversity, keep doing it. Mm-hmm. It's just confirmation,
right?
That we're all one. Mm-hmm. There's one Bible. Mm-hmm. There's one God. Mm-hmm. There's one church.
Yeah.
So, as we spoke before, Wakenia goes to a church. I go to church, but that's walls.
Right.
There's one church.
Yeah.
So keep trying to be better. Keep trying to reach out. Broaden yourself with the people that are here.
Yeah.
And
get out of your comfort zone.
Yes.
It may be uncomfortable, but I mean, this life has so much to offer. Life has so much to offer, so many different experiences, and to not embrace it and then one day be like, "Oh, I wish I had," And I'm not just talking about adventures. I'm talking about with people, experiences with people. You know, what if I had gotten to know, you know, no one in particular, but for me to say, what if I had gotten to know her? I wonder what she was like, or wonder what he was like, or wonder what he is like. You don't have to wonder.
Yeah.
Just get to know him.
Right.
And, you know, it can be a beautiful thing. So.
And it's okay if you try.
And
you don't like them. That's all right. Because everybody ain't for everybody.
But true. And like I was saying this morning, as I was talking, I say, you know what? You ain't gotta like everybody,
right? But
we are to love.
Yes,
we are to love. I said, but
100%.
You might not like 100%. Everybody. You might not like some of the stuff that people do, but 100%. To love them and to love them meaning you don't want any harm to come upon them, and you won't cause them any harm, because that's what love is about.
That's what love is about. And I'm gonna say this, and it's probably my last thing I'll say. And I'm not just talking about the job I'm at now. I'm talking about any job, any activity, church, whatever it is. I might not like you, but you'll never ever know it. I can work with anybody for 8-9 hours a day, regroup, because in the morning I am a new creature.
Right.
And I can come back and do it again.
Yes.
Now, you might know that I don't like something you've said or you've done.
Right.
But you'll never know that I don't like you. But I will always love... No, I said don't like you. Oh. But I will always love you, and I will always honor and do what is right for you, by you. You know, even to the point where sometimes that I don't like you can change to, pretty good. We're both changing.
Right. Yeah.
We're both changing.
Right.
So I'm evolving, you're evolving. So, but you can do anything for 8 hours, 9 hours. You don't have to be cruel.
Right.
You don't have to be vicious.
Oh.
You don't have to be, you know. I might tell her something, and it's enough because I got it off my chest. And I go and I said, I ain't speaking to that person in the next 5 minutes. Hey! You know. So you can do anything, you guys, for 8-9 hours. You don't have to mistreat people. You don't have to be cruel. Just be kind.
Yeah.
And be what you expect Jesus to be to you, and what he was and is to you.
And is, right. So, exactly. So before we get off, I'm going to ask a question, and it's like just a whimsical question. If you won $10 million today, what would you do with it? If you won $10 million, and I'm going to answer that question too.
If I won $10 million today, first thing I do is pay my tithes.
Right.
And then I would go and find some land and build some shelters, homes. Make sure they got air conditioning for the homeless here. And then the next thing I would do is find land and build Albert and I the house that I want, not the house that he wants. He can live with me now. That I want, and
in the city.
In the city. Not well.
In the
Yeah, okay. Can't be a lot of deer and all that because he won't move in there with me then. And build a community for my friends that want to. That's what I do. What would you do?
If I won $10 million, the first thing, of course, I'm gonna tithe. I'm gonna give my tithe. The second thing, the next thing, because there are multiple things that I'm gonna do. Right? I'm going to renovate my bathroom upstairs.
Okay.
Because I want a garden tub.
Okay. And
that pool house out there, that's gonna either be turned into a mother-in-law suite or a little apartment. I'm going to do those things.
Okay.
And then I'm going to open up this wall and I'm going to have open concept kitchen.
So the pool, that's going to be my getaway room?
Sure.
Or, no, I need to know for real. Or is it just my room downstairs?
No, you can live out there too. You can come stay out there. It's going to be a bathroom. Because,
Okay.
you know, we have vision for that spot, but it's like, you know.
Right.
I'm going to do it. You know.
Okay.
Of course,
so
I'm going to do some
$950,000.
charitable stuff. I'm going to do some other charitable things.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like, I'm going to do those things that I want to do.
And that kind of speaks on diversity because I'm trying to build a whole neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
She just wants to stay with what she got, and that's fine.
No, I'm coming to your community.
Oh, so this will be our get. Okay, so
I'm coming to the community.
very good, very good. So that's
We all eat, cook,
that's right.
play, have a good time.
There you go.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going to have a community pool.
Tennis court. I'm telling you,
All that. Everything.
garages for
Yes,
days.
yes.
Okay.
Not a compound.
Not
Let's clear that
Not
up.
a
We say
compound, not a
community.
Community.
Okay?
Yes. Yeah. No compound.
Yeah. Because it's nothing like, and you know, I know we can go on with this, but like, when you think about how you grew up, I mean, how I grew up, there was my house, there was a cousin's house, there was my grandmama's house, there was another cousin, there was an aunt, there was great grandmama, there was cousin across the street.
Right.
We were all there. That was community. It may not have been the big, huge houses like we envision having and the things that we have that we want to have in our community, but it was community.
And that's what I miss. I will say that since, you know, my very first house was, I don't know if it was 11 houses or 8 houses from my mother. And then my very best friend lived 2 houses down.
Right.
So we knew our neighbors. We got along with our neighbors. We did, you know. And then we moved away, and it was kind of like, you open up the garage, you go in the house, you close the garage, and you didn't try to meet anybody, whatever. And I really miss
that. Yeah.
Miss that. I do. I was going to tell a funny story, but I won't in case she sees this, so I won't tell it.
But when you said neighbors, it made me think of how I love to get to know my neighbors.
Right.
I have met the people on the street around the corner, and I've met the people on this street, except for the people that bought Michelle that house. I have not met them yet, but they gonna meet me. I'm gonna meet them.
And I guess when I say, for me, it was like growing up, we actually went, like, I met my husband from a neighbor. It was actually through my sister, but my sister was friends with the neighbors. And so we were over there.
Right.
I don't have that with my neighbors now. Now I have one that really is really good to us, and we're good to him. So the funny story, I'm not going to tell the whole thing, is when we bought our last house, I was trying to be neighborly and go tell her that we were going to cut some limbs, and she was like, "You cut some limbs, I'm calling the police," and did. She did. And that kind of made me not want to be neighborly. I'm like, okay, I'll just go in the house.
Yeah.
I'll wave.
Right.
And that's it. So I didn't.
But to get to know and felt, no, none of that.
Not with any of them. I was like, no. But I want that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Like our neighbors over here, she know our alarm stuff.
Right.
So if we leave, and I think that's so important to like get to know people that live around you, because when something happens, they're like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that."
Right. That's
true.
That's true.
So yeah.
That's true.
So with all that being said, we just want to, as we mentioned, get out there and meet people that don't look like, sound like you. That's right. That are different in whatever arena, whatever aspect that is, whether it's an economic, you got more money than me. Okay, where we going? We go.
Right, exactly.
But just be purposeful about making your life diverse. If it's not. And if you are, kudos. Keep going.
Teach someone else.
Yes.
So live and stop existing. Just existing. Live life.
Yes.
Till we see you guys next. That's what's your name?
Wakenia.
Tee.
And we keeping it real.
Y'all have a good
Bye.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and hit that bell for notifications.